Welcome to the Sport Exchange with me, John Robbie. Hi guys, it's John Robbie here. Welcome to the Sport Exchange podcast where we meet celebrities and personalities from different sports. We hear their stories, the good, the bad and the ugly, and learn how they deal with the transition from playing to enjoying the rest of their lives. Each week I'll discuss my most recent article and we hope to have a lot of fun. Enjoy. Well, let's meet an international cricketer from South Africa who is a legend in India due, of course, to the IPL. He fetched over $1 million in 2016 and was bought by the Delhi Daredevils. Welcome, Chris Morris. Chris, great to see you. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, John. Thank you for having me. Good to be home for a little bit.
Tell us about the injury. We're very worried about you. How serious is it?
Yes, I picked up an injury in India, disc bulge in my spine, which is pushing into one of my nerves. That's affecting a little bit of stuff in my hamstring. So bit of a worry, but a little bit of rest and a lot of rehab, and that should sort itself out. So it's nice to have a bit of time at home and a bit of a rest. But like I say, hard work's continuing just to get fit again.
What happened?
Playing in the game in India, playing against RCB. AB was going crazy at the time, so I promised I didn't fake an injury to stop bowling. I finished my 4 overs on one leg, but just felt something pop in the back while I was bowling, and carried on the rest of the game, and afterwards said, right, let's go for a scan. There's something not right, and the rest is history. So yeah.
Well, tell us a little bit about the history, because an injury is one thing, but at your stage, playing where you are at, let's be honest, nowadays the highest level. I don't mean that because I'm a Test cricket fan, but in terms of money, and crowds, it's the top level in the world. A back injury for a fast bowler, that sounds serious. Tell us more about it.
Well, fortunately, it's the last back injury I had. I was only 17 years old. I had a stress fracture when I grew up. So when I hit my growth spurt at that age, I got a stress fracture, and since then I haven't ever had back injuries. So fortunately enough, it's not a common thread with me. I don't suffer back injury, which is quite nice. So it's come as a little bit of a surprise that my back went, but I suppose it's your body telling you just to rest. I haven't had a pre-season in 4 years. I haven't had a block of 3 months where I can just get in the gym and train as hard as I can to get myself fit and strong for the season that's coming, because I've just been all over the world playing cricket. So I like to think it's my body telling me to rest. Get myself strong, and obviously there's an important tournament happening next year. That's my main goal. And,
when do you expect to be bowling again?
Well, probably in the next 2 weeks. But we're talking walking and bowling. It's basically just getting the motion back, getting the muscles used to the work again. And I'm in the gym twice a day these days. I mean, people wouldn't believe it, but I'm not a big fan of the gym. But I've got to do 2 a days just to get myself as fit and strong as possible. And I'm going to take my time with it. I'm not going to rush it. It's quite a bad injury if you rush it, because if it comes back, you set back for another 4 months, and we don't want that. So take it slow, take it easy, and working very closely with our South African physio, Craig Gavender, and hopefully.
Here's a tough question. Do you ever at the back of your mind think, my God, this could be it?
I don't think I've had that thought just yet. Not with my back. I had an ankle injury a couple of years ago where I thought, this is not going away. I had the operation, and the guy said to me, the doctor, Paulo Ferrao in Joburg, said to me, listen, it's going to be sore for a while. It's scar tissue that works away and all that medical chat. But it literally took 6 months for me to start bowling again without any pain. So I was 3 months back on the field playing, but still consistent pain, because they removed a bone out of my ankle. It's a spur that you get. Rugby players get it too when they're kicking. And got it removed, and literally 3 months in, I was going, I'm still in pain here. Like, this is a problem, because it's not going away. Because the way my action is, the way I land, I compress my ankle, as a lot of fast bowlers do. But just the way I was doing mine was causing injury. That was quite a scary thought. But luckily, Dr. Paulo Ferraro was brilliant, and he was true to his word. And 6 months later, I was bowling with absolutely no pain anymore. So it was a bit of a scary moment, but there's a lot of trust that goes into it, and obviously hard work behind the scenes that no one sees. When
they show fast bowlers in slow motion and they show that front foot, and sometimes you see the holes cut for the toes to come through, and you hear Sean Pollock and the guys talking about it, etc. What is it like after a heavy test session. You've bowled a heavy day in a test match in the sun on a hard baking pitch. Well, tell us the physical effort and what it feels like.
It feels like 80 minutes after playing against the All Blacks.
Really?
No, it's really, I mean, obviously you get used to the pain. As a youngster, I got a little bit of stick from my physio because I would go to him for every single niggle.
Yeah.
I'd feel a bit sore here, I'd feel a bit sore there. And he eventually said to me, he said, you need to accept the fact that you're going to be sore every day for the rest of your life. Because fast bowling is like javelin. It's the most unnatural movement a body can do.
Sure.
You're running as fast as you can to land with a jerk and then carry on running afterwards. So it's a motion that the body's not used to. So you're going to be in pain. Doesn't matter where you are.
And what sort of pain? Is it legs? Is it back? Is it arms? Is it everything?
It varies. Some days you'll be sore in your back. Some days you'll have a sore shoulder. Some days you'll have a sore knee. Some days you'll have a sore ankle. The toes are always sore because they're being compressed. I mean, it's standard procedure to lose a big toenail every 6 months. They just fall off. So it's obviously all that pressure building into your front foot and that toe. And your toenail just decides it's had enough. So it happens often when you're bowling. You've got to take your boot off and pull your own toenail off. And then put your boot back on and carry on. So Morne Walker was the best. He used to get blisters underneath his foot.
Yeah.
Like literally on the ball of his foot, massive. Because he doesn't land flat, he lands on his ball. So he would get proper blisters and he was just such a trooper. He would just pop them and carry on going. And a lot of people don't see this because fast bowlers are just there to bowl as fast as they can and get wickets.
That's why I'm asking. So next morning you wake up and you've got to play at whatever it is, 11:30. What do you do in the morning? You've woken up and you can hardly move. What do you do?
Morning's probably the best just to get running. I think I always say to people the best way to get loose is to actually bowl. I mean, I'm one of the worst stretchers you'll ever meet. I've got the world's tightest hamstrings, and I literally you do obviously do a little bit of stretching, but for me to get loose, the best way is just to run up and bowl because that literally loosens every single muscle up that you need and it gets you going. But inevitably, by the time the day of the play starts on the day, you're loose and the adrenaline's running. But there are a few painkillers that help. It's a standard procedure for fast bowlers to be drinking a certain painkiller before a day's play. And, you got to use as much help as you can. So the guys, they wean themselves off of the painkillers off season so their body can recover. But in season, you do need to take painkillers. It's the same with the rugby guys.
Sure.
Because we're always trading secrets on which ones to use. Oh, do you guys use that one? No, we use this one. Does that one work? Yeah, it does. The Morne Morkel and Faf de Klerk, they organized, well, not Faf de Klerk, Ross Cronia, they were switching painkillers to see which one works better for each other.
And of course, you have to be careful that it's all legal as well.
Absolutely.
But you get advice.
Yeah, we are very strict on the drugs. It's you can't just take anything. So if us sportsmen go down with flu, it takes a lot longer to heal or get better, get healthy because we can't take the stuff that's so strong that everyone else can have.
Big respect, more than ever after hearing that. What is it like being famous in India? I've been to India last year for the first time ever, and nothing prepares you for the scale of India, the assault on the senses, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is just, and if you've never been there, you can't really describe it. What is it like to be famous there?
It's the only way I can say it is hard work. It's an absolute humbling experience because you come from a country that's quite conservative when it comes to their sportsmen or famous people, in inverted commas. They're quite conservative, so it'll take them a while to go ask for a photo or an autograph. Whereas India, you walk into India and it's literally phones in your face. My worst is if I wake up in the morning because I'm not a morning person, so I go to breakfast because I have to in India. IPL times are completely off. You go to bed at 4 in the morning, you wake up at 11. That's just how it is because everything happens at that time of night. So for me to wake up at 9:30 because I know breakfast closes at 10, I have to have breakfast because it fuels my body. For me to go downstairs looking like Spike from Notting Hill and a guy walks around the corner and the first thing, all I want to do is go sit at my table, have a coffee and eat my breakfast and just not talk to anyone is for a guy to come to me and ask me for a photo. And for me, that just puts India into perspective for you because you arrive there and it's just, I'm a 6'5" Vito. As I like to tell people, it's quite difficult for me to hide. Whereas the other guys are a bit shorter, they can slide through the crowd. It's difficult for me not to be seen. So, but it's a humbling experience. And Dale Steyn actually said to me, the way he embraces it, because it is hard work. I mean, it's draining because all your energy is going into photos and people autographs and you just want to sit and have lunch and you can't because people are taking photos of you and stuff. So it's almost like being a celebrity in America with a paparazzi. But the way Dale said to me was, he says he's going to embrace it because He doesn't know how long in his life he's going to be treated like a rock star, and you get treated like an absolute rock star in India. So, there are times where you are irritated with it and you just want to be by yourself and have your own personal space. But then the other times you actually look at it and you go, wow, these people want to see me. So it's an unbelievably humbling experience, especially, like I say, coming from a country that's so conservative with their sportsmen.
Fantastic. How does it work with the IPL? Because we hear about the auctions, we hear about this, you get a contract. You have a contract with the Delhi Daredevils, but that's for 3 years, is that right?
Yeah, that's the new one I've signed now, yeah.
So that means, and with your injury, let's say, God forbid, you were injured. Would there be a clause there that gave you some insurance or compensation or whatever?
No, that's the only time you get paid in India, as far as I know, which we'll see hopefully in the next week or two, is if you get injured in India, you still get quite a big portion of your contract, because it's not like you arrive. So when you arrive in India, you do, most of the high profile players that have been paid quite a lot of money, they have to do a fitness evaluation when they arrive. So most of the highly paid players are insured by a company, and the franchise takes insurance out for for an injury. So they're not paying whatever money they have to pay out of their pockets. That's insured. So which is quite clever. So like KG Rabada this year, KG he got a big contract. He got $800,000, I think, to go to Delhi. He didn't go because he was injured, so he doesn't get paid anything because he wasn't there.
Yeah.
So it's quite a complicated thing. But in terms of that, if you get injured there, you get paid. If you don't go or arrive with an injury and you have to come home, you don't get paid at all.
But you got injured there, so
I got injured there.
So you're okay, basically.
Yeah, I was playing domestic cricket when I flew, and I was in Australia, South Africa Test squad when we beat them at the Wanderers. So I was there. I was playing, so I was fit to go. Arrived in India fit, did my fitness evaluation, passed everything, played 4 games, and then it happened in the 5th. So it's an injury you can't. And you can't say when an injury is going to happen. So,
sure.
And I'm not the first and I'm not the last person to get injured. So fortunately, it happened there, and hopefully we'll still get.
Tell us about the auctions. I mean, you're a South African player, etc. When do you first hear that your name is up for auction? Tell us more about the process in detail.
So what happens is you put your name into the auction.
You put your name up.
Yeah, well, your agent or your manager or whatever. But if you don't have one, you put your name in the
hat.
You just put it in the hat, and then I think it's still a bit like blurry to me what they do, but they, as far as I know, they get interest from the franchises, and they say, yes, he's got a good chance, we might look at him, and then what they do is they break it down to saying, right, we're eliminating those names because they're not really going to be bought, or there's no interest in them. And then obviously international players, they obviously get the first one because they're international players, and they probably got more chance, because if you look at all the names across the world, if they put all of them into an auction, it's going to take them about a week just to go through the names. Yeah. So obviously they sift them down and they filter it out into which guys are probably going to be bought. And then basically you're like a cow, a prize cow that
cattle auction.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. It's a cattle auction, and they've got their paddle, and all they do is when your name comes up, the right opening, but you've got your base price that you give.
So you give a price.
You give a base price. So you're not going to go for so my base price when I first started was $20,000. Yeah. And then obviously with my profile rising and obviously me playing well in India and IPL, it moved on to 100,000. So you can move in. So like some Australians and some guys, like the English guys, like Stuart Broad, I think his base price was $300,000. Yeah. Because for him it's not worth it going to India for less than that. Whereas a South African and our exchange rate, $100,000 goes a long way. So start then. Hopefully, I mean, the key is to get what we always get told. The key is to get 2 or 3 franchises after you. Because then obviously it becomes, for me, I've seen
competitive,
especially with the big players, it becomes an ego thing.
Yeah.
Because then the one franchise is not, well, stuff you, we got more money than you will. Oh, you want to keep, and then they just carry on lifting the paddle, and when they look again, you bought a player for 1.8 million.
And are you aware of this? Are you following this on the phone? Are you following it on the computer?
So you do, yeah, you can. I mean, you can follow on the computer, but I mean, my first IPL is quite a nice story. We were playing in Kimberley, of all places, against the Knights for the Lions, and it was a dull 4-day game. It was going to be a draw. I think we were literally batting till lunchtime to shake hands. That's just for a formality. And I knew the auction was on, but I had quite a good Champions League that year, where it was in South Africa. Yeah. Chennai played and Mumbai played. So I had quite a good auction. So I'd always, in the back of my mind, thought, cheaper, it'd be nice to go to the IPL. I just want to go. Yeah. Yeah. My base price is 20,000. I'll go for 10. I just want to experience it. Auction was on. Had it on my had it on an iPad, but you're gonna laugh. I was actually playing Trivial Pursuit with one of my teammates on the iPad, and I was trying my best not to even think about the auction because the game was on, and I like to think I'm a professional.
Yeah.
So I had the iPad on. So every now and then I had my phone in my pocket just in case my agent phoned me and said, "Listen, this is what's happened." We were playing this game. Eventually, it finished, and I grabbed and I said, "Let me just quickly go into the website," and they've obviously got the auction. And as I looked, my name came up. And there was a guy ahead of me called Farfis Maru who plays for Sri Lanka all-rounder, and he was unsold. So my first thought was, if he's not being bought, what are my chances aren't very good because he's actually quite a good player. My name came up, South African all-rounder Chris Morris, and base price of $20,000. And my opening bid came in at 50. So I was like, wow, okay, that's already happy days. Kept quiet. So I went to our bowling coach, Gordon Parsons, who I'm very close with.
Yeah. Sat
with him, and I was like, Gordy, my name's on. Let's see what happened. And I quietly watched it. And next bid was 100. And I thought, what? Almost fell off my chair. And I went quiet straight away because I never ever thought anything like this would happen to me. And then the next bid popped up. And then the next bid popped up. And eventually I got to 300 and I looked at Gordy. I was like, Gordy, because he looked and went, oh, well done, mate.
Yeah.
And then I said, Gordy, look here. And when he actually looked, you see, he lifted his glasses and went, what? And grabbed the iPad. And then everyone else in the change room obviously picked up what was going on. And eventually it ended on Chennai Super Kings buying me for $625,000. So straight away, my lips started going straight away because I couldn't believe what was happening. I'm actually getting a little teary thinking about it.
That's life-changing.
Life-changing. And it's quite funny because at the time, Stephen Cook was batting. And as they said, sold to Chennai Super Kings for that amount, Cookie had left the ball. It left it, like in cricket terms, they didn't play at the ball at all. And the whole change room erupted with the celebration. And everyone looked and thought, what's going on here? And then a couple of balls later, Cookie got out and Neil walked out to bat and he couldn't contain his excitement. So he called Werner Kutsia, who I played with at Northwest.
Yeah.
And said, Werner, just come tie my shoelace, please. And when he got to his shoe, he saw his shoe wasn't laced, his shoe was laced up, and he looked at him and said, your mate just went for $625,000. And Vern, in a very Afrikaans way, said a very Afrikaans swear word, but he just went, so it was quite nice. And obviously phoning my dad that night and phoning my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, phoning them was an unbelievable experience.
Without being prying, how much of that do you get? Do you get it all? Do you get a percentage of it, or does it vary?
No, you get a percent. I mean, it's tax. So you get taxed on that side, a certain percentage, and then you get the rest. You get taxed in South Africa. So I mean, you still pay a 45% tax. Yeah. But you still get all that money comes to you, apart from the tax. Yeah. So everything comes to you. You just pay tax on it. So it's
how do you keep your feet on the ground? Or do you? Did you go mad?
No, I didn't go mad. I was quite fortunate. I grew up in a very humble family. I never had money. We were just a normal middle class family. My dad, I never went hungry or anything like that. But we weren't well off by any means.
Well, because your dad was a well-known cricketer. Exactly. I remember your dad, the world's tallest spinner.
In those days, they weren't paid very much. Yeah. So, I mean, my dad would go to practice, play for Northerns, and then go to work afterwards. That's how it was because it wasn't a professional sport. And like I say, we weren't well off. We weren't wealthy, but I had a normal upbringing, which I'm eternally grateful for because I mean, I never owned a PlayStation. I used to climb trees and run around with my Labrador. Yeah. Because he was my best mate. So, I mean, we were very humble upbringing, and, I was always, I like to think I joked about Notting Hill earlier on. That actually was my nickname, Miss Spike, because I had blonde hair down to my shoulders, and I looked like a piece of rubbish, but now I'm very, very lucky at my upbringing. I mean, my wife and her family, exactly the same. So humble, down to earth people, and I'm just eternally grateful for the way I was brought up. And I think a lot of it can happen to you. You can lose your mind, you can...
Does it happen with some of the guys who get big contracts?
I think it does, because I think it does happen to them because, I mean, I think I was quoted in one of my interviews saying I've never seen this much money, which was the fact. I'd never in my life thought I would ever have this much money in my bank account. My first RPL payment, I would every 5 minutes look at my account just to make sure it was real because I couldn't believe it was there. And then obviously my financial advisors that came on board with me, Adam Bacher come to me and said,
fantastic, you couldn't do better than that.
Ex-cricketer, I'd like to look after you, because I said to myself, one day when I'm 60, or like now, if I'm 48 and my son needs a car, but I've just got a newborn now, he needs a car. I don't want to have to worry about where I'm going to get money to buy my son a car. Yeah. Or hopefully, if he's clever enough, a really good sportsman, he can get a bursary somewhere. But I don't have to worry about paying for varsity fees. I just needed to know that in the future I'll be fine. So I was very fortunate with that. So, but I think a lot of guys lose it because I think once they get the money, they spend it quite quickly. Whereas in my long term, I always thought because, I know what it was like, especially with my pops, knowing he gets to this age, he's got to actually grow. He has to work a lot longer because he just didn't have enough money. So for me, the first thing I did when I got my first payment was I bought their house. I said, right, that's your bond done.
Fantastic.
It's your house. You live in it forever. It's yours. I mean, I'll own it. So one day, if unfortunately, one of you pass away and mom or dad, you need to move into a smaller place, I can sell that place and move you into a smaller place.
What was the reaction of your parents?
No, my dad, obviously, it's just, like I said, the bottom lip went.
Yeah,
it's just, and it's the way I look at it, they've given me so much. The least I could do was give back. So that was the first thing I did, and then the next thing.
Because I see Lungi and Gidi did exactly the same.
Yeah, and Lungi's
which
a
is
superstar.
amazing,
He's such a humble human being. That man, I've got all the time in the world for that young man. He's.
What does your dad think? Is there a bit of him that's bitter? Looking at what your life is like compared to his.
Better. I think my dad just it's the way he looked at it, he just said, cheapers, you guys have got an unbelievable opportunity. Because the way he thinks about it, he says, I would have been a really good T20 player. Which I think he would have, because he could smack it and he was a seriously good spinner.
Yeah.
And he was a proper fielder. So he was an all-round cricketer, and that's what you need in India. You can't just be a one dynamic unless you're unbelievably good like AB.
Yeah.
Whereas AB brings the fielding too as well. But unless you're an all-rounder you've got to be really good in one of your things. One of your, what's the word I'm looking for?
One of your disciplines.
One of your disciplines, yeah.
Well, let's go into that because, I mean, I know, for example, Ray Jennings is a great fan of yours. And Ray Jennings says that you don't get the credit for what you are in South Africa. Tell us about being an all-rounder over in the T20 because it's such a short thing. The bowling is so short.
Yeah.
I mean, it almost seems, I thought he was almost over emphasizing that. And yet, there you are, the money that you've gone for backs that up. Why is it so important to be an all-rounder?
Just because, if you don't do well under the ball, you can always make up it with the bat. But to be a bowler in T20 cricket, I mean, I like to think being a batter is a lot easier because if you're going for it from ball one and you get out, unlucky.
Yeah.
You almost had them. And the next day you get it right and you get 40 of 10 balls and everyone's going cheap as well play.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas a bowler, especially a guy that opens the bowling and then bowls at the death. I mean, to bowl at the death in the last 4 overs of a T20, you've got to have the world's thickest skin because you're going to get hit. You accept the fact when you arrive, the batters are trying to smack you all over the park. It's not like Test cricket where you can settle in and if you bowl a bad ball, they'll put it away.
Yeah.
These guys are coming for you from ball one. So you've got to have a really thick skin because there's going to be a day where you go for 50, 0 for 50 in your 4.
Yeah.
But there's going to be another day where you go 2 for 20 in your 4.
Yeah.
So as a bowler, we always joke about it. Batters win your games, but bowling units win your tournaments.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that's where it's so important for
Talk me through. You're bowling against one of the best bats. I don't know. You're bowling against Kohli or AB or something like that. I mean, talk us through an over. It's the third last over, okay, and they're going for it right now. You're standing there, and he's on 30 or something, or 40 off, 20.
Yeah.
Talk us through your mindset, because often watching, and the commentators always, of course, if you get a wicket, they say, oh, brilliant bowling. Yeah. But if you get it wrong, well, you should have pitched it up, you should have pitched it shorter. It's easy to commentate. Yeah. From your perspective, talk us through an over against somebody at the death in a big T20 game.
Yeah, so like a guy there's obviously a different dynamic, whereas AB can hit you anyway. Yeah. But then you get a guy like Andre Russell who will just muscle you out of the stadium, which is simple as that. End of the day, like I say, I know if I get it wrong, I'm gonna get put away. The guys these days don't miss it. Whereas back in the day, you had an opportunity to miss because guys weren't as skilled as hitting, say, a low full toss. Because if I miss a low full toss, it's not going to go for 6. It's just going to go for the boundary. And then that left-handed South African walked in there named David Miller. Yeah. Decided that he was going to practice hitting low full tosses for 6. So to my surprise, playing against the Dolphins, you got a guy like David Miller, bowl a low full toss, he hits me out the stadium. Where to now?
Yeah.
So for me, the way it was, the way I looked at it, especially for T20 cricket, what's missing? And the commentators always talk about it, it's Yorkers.
Yeah.
So for me, I said, right, if I can master the art of bowling Yorkers, I'm going to be a needed person, not just in the IPL, but in national colours.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm the first guy to say I've underachieved. In my opinion, I've underachieved for the national side because maybe I felt more pressure or anything. Whereas RPL, I feel like it's almost my domain and I can control it. But to stand at the end of your mark, it basically comes down to your training. I know if I run in and close my eyes, I'm going to bowl a Yorker.
Yeah.
And if he hits me from there out of the stadium, well, then I'm going to take my hat off and say, well done. But guess what? You've got to do it again. Because I'm not going anywhere. And
so when you say, right, I'm going to bowl 2 Yorkers, 3 Yorkers, what do you say?
So on the day, I mean, I don't know what it's like in other sports, but on the day you feel like something's working. Like a guy, like I talk about rugby, a guy's kicking game's on, so he goes with it. Like that Yanni De Beer one, he just kept kicking drop goals.
5 drop goals.
Exactly. His foot was on fire and carrying on going. So there are days where you're landing your Yorkers without even trying. So then you just stick to that. Other days you're not landing them, and then you've got to go back to your slow balls, your bounces, your wide Yorkers, your straight Yorkers. So there's a lot of dynamics to go into and where batsmen's strengths are. Yeah. You know, so, but yeah, obviously, I mean, you set up for a different batter. I know most guys in India, I can literally try blow their feet off and that should be okay. But then you get a guy like AB, when you try and blow his foot off, he's on one knee and he's paddling you over the keeper. Yeah. So then you got to try and outthink a guy like AB. That's where AB's so good.
And is that down to you, or does the captain give you a signal? Does the wicket keeper give you a signal? Are you getting suggestions, or is it purely up to you?
We do quite a lot of analysis. So we see where guys are hitting zones. This is where a lot of people don't see it. So two days before the game, or maybe a day before the game, we sit in a computer, we sit in a massive room with a TV screen and we watch where guys are hitting a cricket ball, where their strengths are, where to bowl, where not to bowl. This is where he bats, this is where he doesn't bat, this is where to bowl, this is where not to bowl, because this is where he hits it. So we do a lot of analysis on the opposition. And end of the day, I mean, when you've got the ball in your hand, you make the decision on where the ball's going to go. Sometimes we'll get it wrong because you're human, but you decide at the top of your mark. And the captain will come to you and suggest something. But it was quite nice when I was playing at Delhi. Our captain was Zaia Khan.
Whoosh.
And I mean, he's an Indian legend.
Absolutely. What a bowler, eh?
My first game with him, he tried to set my field. And eventually I said to him, Zach, I'll set my own field. Just let me I know where I'm going. And that was it, done. And Zach was like, right, I don't need to worry about the week because you set your own field. Yeah. So I said to him, I know where I'm going to bowl the ball. If I bowl the ball there, he should hit it there. You know, if it goes there, then I'm unlucky, but I'll set my field. And that was the best understanding I had because he knew exactly Morris has got it sorted because he knows what he's doing.
And I mean, I look at a guy like Virat Kohli, and sometimes, I mean, he's so emotional. That's one of the great things about him. I mean, do they shit you out if you get it wrong? Or does it depend on the person, the psychology, whatever?
No. Look, I don't think it's quite a professional when it comes to that. Yeah. I think the younger Indian bowlers might catch a little bit of abuse. Yeah. They might catch it because, listen, why are you bowling there? That's not your field. It's like having a field for a short ball and you're pitching it up. Yeah. You know, it doesn't make sense sometimes when you do that. But it's quite a professional setup, you know. So we'll come after the game, especially with the coaches. I mean, we were lucky this year. I had Ricky Ponting, who was our coach, and the way he looked at it, he would cuck you out properly if you didn't do something. Yeah. Or like the bowling unit, like the one game against Kolkata, a guy got 60 against us, and he is horrible in the short ball. We bowled one bouncer the whole game. Yeah. And he was going, why are we doing our analysis sessions if we're not going to use them? Do we all agree that the work we did was right? Yes. But then why didn't we do it? So it's the first time in my career I've ever been cucked out and left feeling positive. Yeah. Because
that's a gift. That's a gift. Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, so we would analyze the game after, sit back and go, right, listen, what were you thinking here? Was it bad execution? Did you maybe double bluff him? Because if that's the case, then cool, just let us know. And so it's quite professional, but I think the young Indian bowlers, might catch the brunt of it.
And what is it like? I mean, you know, kids growing up in India to kids growing up in South Africa, England, it's so different. Pakistan, whatever. There seems to be an amazing dynamic. I mean, do the guys genuinely get on well? Do they socialize afterwards? Do you remain friends for life with your teammates?
Is that an IPL guys?
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, I'm still quite good friends with the guys I played with at Chennai. Yeah, you know, it was quite nice. Come full circle. There was an under 19 player that played with me at Chennai. His name's Vijay Shankar, and he's come all this way. So that was in 2013, and he's playing with me at Delhi now.
Fantastic.
You know, it was like I hadn't missed him for a day because we were when I was there as a youngster, obviously I mingled with everyone. You still mingle with everyone. Yeah. But so it was quite nice that we'd all come full circle to play in the same team again.
That's fabulous. No,
and afterwards, I mean, you socialise with your players. The South African guys have got our own WhatsApp group. I don't know if anyone's ever heard what went on there, but we've got our own little WhatsApp group where we try to force certain words into into interviews. So that's
Tell us more.
Unfortunately, that's my baby. I started it last year.
Yeah.
And what we do is in interviews, just to keep it fun and entertaining for the Saffers, we would try and throw Afrikaans words in.
Yeah.
But then people started picking up on it.
Yeah.
So then we'd obviously change the word for pretty much every game. So I think the last word that came out was from Faf. He said he had a vleisballet something.
Yeah.
So that was the last word. So it was quite funny. So in the RPL in the future, just whenever there's a South African guy doing an interview, just listen for a very strange word.
All right. Thank you.
Obviously, there was that viral thing with a bok. So we obviously the punishment is an alcoholic beverage or two, if someone doesn't do it. But I said, all right, I'll do 3 shots of a certain beverage if AB you can call someone my bok. And AB walked straight to the interview and said, "I thank you, my book." And I thought, straight away. So we just keep it interesting there. But obviously, you make friends with international players, and just to mingle with some of those guys it's a phenomenal feeling. Because for me, Pretoria was our first team captain. So I mean, at the time, it was quite a privilege, and I still claim it. But for me, I always look at a guy like Stephen Fleming because he was New Zealand captain.
Yeah.
He was brilliant, and then get signed for Chennai, and the coach is Stephen Fleming. So I basically pinch myself every time. I've still got a photo of myself, and I keep it very cherished because it's a photo of myself and Stephen Fleming after winning the playoffs at the RPL, having a cigar together. And I'll keep that photo for the rest of my life because it's such a special moment for me that the guy that I used to look up to was now actually having a beer with me as not just a coach but a teammate. So it's a special tournament. I mean, and not many people appreciate it until they actually get there of how good this tournament is, not just for your cricket, but you as a human being and as a person.
Well, it's amazing insight. Is it fixed?
I don't know, Robbie. I don't think so. I think
because I saw a statistic that said 60% of the Indian population believe that there is spread betting fixes. And 70% of the population don't care.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, look. So, as a cricketer, I'll say no because we know the ramifications of it. We know what's going to happen if there is. So I'll basically say I'd say straight. You're stupid if you're a cricketer and you're fixing. You're stupid because it's the end of your career.
Yeah.
And you go to jail these days.
So why would you risk it?
Exactly. Especially. I mean, and especially there were 3 years ago where there was match fixing done in the RPL teams, and they got banned, Chennai and Rajasthan, which I played for both, coincidentally. But they were both done, and they got banned for 2 years. And we saw what it did in India to those 2 teams. I mean, they've come back now, and Chennai won the RPL. But it's a serious thing. It's not like you got caught.
Have you ever been approached anywhere?
Not to my knowledge.
Because we saw it locally.
Not to my knowledge. And the problem is, I'm so naive to it. If someone had approached me, I wouldn't even know. But these days, it's become so strict. If anything, if anyone comes to you, you report it. And it might be nothing. It probably is nothing, but you have to report it because you get banned if you don't report something. So if a guy comes to you and approaches you with, no, we'll do this, we'll if a guy comes to you and says, well, here's a watch or whatever, and you're like, but thanks, appreciate it. And you don't report that.
Yeah.
Because it's suspicious. You could get banned for 6 months for not reporting. And that's a lot of money that you miss. That's a lot of money that you miss out on as a professional sportsman if you get banned because you don't get paid.
We're talking to Chris Morris. You've sold IPL in a way because I've always hated it.
Yeah.
I've appreciated the crowd and the fun and everything, but it's always been hit and giggle. But you've given us an insight that I think will make us all look at it differently. How do you compare that with Test cricket in a half-empty stadium? The whole world is looking at the result in the Test cricket, and yet the stadium is half empty, etc. I mean, is there a future for Test cricket?
Absolutely. It's the purest form of cricket.
Cliche. That's a cliche.
I've got a goofy smile on my face because it's a reality. For me, there was a reason why I played cricket, and that was to play Test cricket for South Africa.
Yeah.
The dynamics change the older you get because your body doesn't hold up, or opportunities come in a different way, or guys are taking your spot and you're not going to play again. So the dynamics change, obviously, but it's still the purest form. You'll take that loud noise in India of a full stadium and you take half a stadium in Cape Town and it's just as loud.
Tell us about your first ball in Test cricket.
Oh, my first ball in Test cricket.
Who was it against? When was that?
Against England in Cape Town. Alistair Cook was the guy I was bought into, and I just played a warm-up game against them, not thinking that I would ever get called into the test side. So I'd shown all my tricks to them, thinking I was never going to bowl to these guys again.
Yeah.
And a month later, I'm running in and they're going, oh, well, we know you've got a different in-swinger or this, that. So my first ball was, I said to myself, because my first ball in international cricket was in an ODI in Birmingham against Pakistan. It was a wide down leg.
Right.
Whoops. That was my first ball.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, right, this is your test debut. It's in Cape Town. It's a New Year's Day test. Don't get it wrong. So first ball, outside of gentle, 135, leave. So my first 6 balls, I bowled a maiden in Test cricket. But then a guy called Ben Stokes came along and scored 250, and I got a rude awakening in Test cricket. So, but it was the most amazing experience. I mean,
tell us about getting your cap.
Well, I mean, it's for me, the getting the cap was nice. I got it from Sean Pollock, who was one of my heroes.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a very special moment, but for me, the more special moment was getting the call up, and not just being told you flying to Cape Town and you're probably going to play it. For me to phone my dad, was, I'm actually,
because he never really got the chance, did he?
I'm getting emotional now. I talk about it, but for me to phone my dad and say, listen, because I promised my dad, I said to him, Dad, wherever I play, wherever I make my test debut, I'll fly you to. It doesn't matter where it is.
Yeah,
I'll fly you, and you're coming. You and Mom, you're there. And at the time, Lisa, she was my fiance at the time, and actually, no, we were married. Sorry, I was married.
Whoops. You might not be married.
I promise we were married.
Yeah.
No, and she was actually. I was playing a game at Benoni against the Cobras. I'm Western Province against the Cobras, and our coach. So how it works? They phone the CEO of the franchise, and then they ask him, is he fit to play? Is he clear to play? Yes. Then he phones the coach, and then the coach tells you. So that's how it works, because I need it. It's just a process. Yeah. So I sat down with Rob Walter, our Titans coach at the time, and he said, he hit me on the shoulder and said, put his hand out. I said, no. He says, you flying to Cape Town tomorrow. So the first thing I did was put my sunglasses on because I started crying. The first thing I did. Yeah. And I sat there for about 5 minutes. And then I walked downstairs. I walked to where my wife was in the stand with my in-laws. And I said, Babs, you're flying to Cape Town tomorrow. And then her lips started going. And then I was ticket, sunglasses back on. So then I phoned my dad. And I said to him, so what are you doing for New Year's? He says, why? I said, because you're coming to Cape Town. And then there was that silence for about 30 seconds. Neither of us could say anything. It was an unbelievably special moment.
Just the way you've described it, I mean, again, puts it into perspective. It's not just a cliche to say it's the purest form of the game. In terms of getting told you're actually going to play as opposed to being down there, how does that work?
Yeah, that was day before the test.
So you're down in Cape Town, but you don't know if you're going to play.
No, I wasn't sure. You never know, because the dynamics of a pitch. They're going to play spinner, they're going to play 4 seamers. I don't know. So practiced hard, had a good practice session, and was in the change room in Cape Town, overlooking the stadium. And Russell Domingo at the time called me and said, I'm very casually, and it's like, you can make a debut for your country tomorrow. Oh, just like that. And obviously, I couldn't get the stupid smile off my face, and I hugged him. And I was like, thank you, Russell. I'm going to give you everything I have, because this is my dream. This is why all those days of missing on parties, missing weddings, missing funerals,
sore feet, sore back, sore arms,
the sacrifice that you have as a cricketer and as a sportsman, it's all coming to this one moment of, this is why I play cricket. Is tomorrow morning I know I'm going to run in and play for and bowl my first ball in Test cricket tomorrow. And it was a humbling experience, because I took a beating. I mean, my first Test wicket was Joe Root. Yeah. But I got absolutely smoked. And in the second innings, South Africa, we actually turned it on, and the weather came and saved England. But it was an unbelievable experience. I mean, Hashim Amla got 200 that game.
Yes.
So it was just sitting there going, I'm actually part of a test match. Like, I mean, the first thing I did when I got back to Pretoria, because we had a week off, was go get a tattoo of my test number on my arm. Because I said to my mom's anti-tattoos, and I said, listen, Mom, I'm going to go get it, because no one else can have it. It's mine. So I've got 89 tattooed right there.
I see it, yeah.
So I can't see it, so I don't get bored of it, but it's mine. No one else can have 89, because that's my test number. Jeez. I'm the 89th person since readmission to play Test cricket, so that's how special it was. And for me, I don't take anything for granted when it comes to especially Test cricket. Playing for my country, that's why I play cricket. But Test cricket's
fantastic.
So
well, you've put them both into perspective. Tell us about ball tampering now, because I know you can lick the ball, you can shine the ball, you can have sweets in your mouth, but you can't have sandpaper. You do it, etc. Yeah. Where do you draw the line?
Well, I think bringing a foreign object onto the field to change the dynamic of the ball. Or
Sweet is a foreign object?
Well, sweet you can use to moisten your mouth.
Yeah.
If you get energy babies.
It's a grey
area with that. I mean, because if you're putting spit on a ball, it's changing a cricket ball, isn't it?
But if you're putting sugar on the ball, it makes it even more so.
Exactly. I mean it's...
Are you allowed to have a sweet in your mouth?
Well, you're allowed to have a sweet in your mouth, but you're not technically not allowed to put sugar on the ball. But how are you going to put spit on the ball if you've got a sweet in your mouth?
So does everyone do that?
Well, I would assume so. I mean...
Well, do you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, if I can officially say that on record, can say I've never scratched a cricket ball. I never have, because I firmly believe you can make a ball reverse swing by using the elements.
But have you ever got a ball given to you and you've looked at it and said, hey, hang on a second?
Absolutely.
So someone else has done it?
Yeah. I've seen it plenty, especially in domestic cricket. Against me and for me. You've looked at the ball and you go, no, hold on. Someone's done something to this ball.
What do you feel about the Aussies?
Lesson learnt, huh? At the time, I thought it was quite funny because, they...
A bit holier than thou, aren't they? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. In the one interview, one of the CEOs said when Cameron Bancroft was doing his interview, he said, we like to think we're better than this. That's why it came as such a surprise. And I thought, you like to think you're better than this.
Yeah.
Who are you? You're just another cricketer.
Yeah.
And that was the CEO talking. So for me at the time, because we were actually playing a game.
The ex-CEO, because I see he's just gone.
Yeah. So we were playing a game against the Knights in Pretoria. It was the last Sunfull series game, which we won't. Titans, come on.
Yeah.
Sorry. And Dale put it on Instagram. And I saw and I thought, what is going on here? And I straight away said to the boys, put the cricket on.
Yeah.
And then obviously it was all over. They played that 2 hours of just replaying that same thing.
Well done, the cameramen, the Super Sport cameramen.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and I actually spoke to the cameraman about it because they were in India with us. But for me, at the time, I thought it was quite funny because I thought, you know what? You Oaks, and the thing is, the series has been built up with the whole David Warner and Quinton de Kock thing. And, they're givers, but they don't take it very well. And when someone gave it just as hard back to them, they snapped. And I like to think that altercation with Warner and Quinny, that was the beginning of our series.
Yeah.
Because technically we won 3-0 from there.
Yeah.
They'd beaten us in Durban and we'd given them 3-0 from there. And that switched out our whole thing around.
Was that calculated? Because obviously Quinton de Kock, there was great play on the name and so on and so on. Yeah. And then he came back with an incident that was basically history, private, personal incident.
Exactly.
Was that something that he worked out? Did the team work it out? Was it?
No, I don't. Look, I wasn't there for the first two tests.
Yeah, but Quinny, come on. We've talked about it.
Chatting to the guys, it was if you go personal, someone will go personal back at you. So I think they came at Quinny obviously because they thought he was a very dangerous player
and a youngster.
And Warner's with respect, is a bit of a chop. He's not a very well liked human being because he does go overboard. I mean, you saw when AB got run out there how overboard he went. Yeah. He didn't even go at AB. He went hard at Aiden. And you're like, come on, but that's the guy's out. What more do you want to do? Yeah. So he's a bit of a chop. So and what I've heard from the guys is that it didn't stop. They just ragged Quinny all the time. I mean, they were giving Aiden was on 120 and they were still giving him stick about him not ironing his shirt. Yeah. I mean, come on, guys, get over it. We're all adults here, but they just carried on going. And eventually something personal was said to Quinny, and Quinny went, right, because you've just gone there.
Cross the line.
No, well, the line that they keep to, where is the line?
Yeah.
But you've just gone there, you're welcome. And he obviously gave the comment that he did, and obviously Warner lost it. But I think it was staged in terms of from the Australians, because he didn't do anything until he got in the background. Yeah. He didn't do anything until he got in front of Quinny and then rented it. And it was like, come on, but if someone's going to say something, you add him straight away. If it affected you that much, you were going to go to him and say, listen, I didn't find out that wasn't acceptable. I never went personal. So what's that was just a show in my opinion.
So what's happened now? Has there been a change? Has there been a new directive coming through about sledging, about behaviour? Obviously, the ball tampering is now. There won't be that for a while. But.
Yeah. So I think a lot of guys won't be quite cautious on going personal. I mean, sledging's always going to be there. I mean, we're grown men with testosterone flowing.
But there's got to be. There always used to be a sense of humour in it. That's what I was told.
It's still there.
Is it?
It's still there. I mean,
what's the best sledge you've had?
Best sledge I've had, cheapest. Well, that wasn't at me. It was actually a guy called Eddie Lee towards Paul Harris. And Paul had just unfortunately been dropped from the test side. We're playing in Benoni. It was my debut game for the Lions. Yeah. Before that game. And Paul had just been dropped from the test side. And Paul's a very good friend of mine, so I hope he doesn't listen. But Imran had just been picked in the test side. Yeah. So Eddie Lee was his new leg spinner took 10 wickets in the game, was excellent. But Eddie's got a mouth on him as well. He doesn't keep quiet. He gives it, and it was just like his second game as well. But he gave it as good as he took it. So eventually Paul had enough, and we were walking off the field, and the change rooms come together before you go your separate ways into your own change room. And Paul asked Temba, he said, told Temba, said, hey, you better tell your mate we're waiting for him. We're waiting for him. And Eddie, being Eddie, heard what was going on and said, what's up, Paul? Do you want to say something to me? What's up? And Paul, talking like he does, gave it the, who are you, mate? What hole did you crawl out of? And before we looked again, Eddie said to him, the same hole that Imran Tias has pushed you into. and Paul put his hand in his pocket about whatever. So, and all of us in the chain just went, that's how you quiet someone very quickly, because like I said, it was very sharp, and it was quite a good one.
The way you talk and your insights are fantastic. I mean, everyone here is just sitting there. You must be considering commentary or whatever after broadcasting or something like that, because you obviously have a deep love of the game, as you've said. Is that something that you'd like to see on the agenda?
Absolutely. I mean, I always talk about people being foodies. I like to think I'm a cricketer. I watch cricket. It doesn't matter who's playing. I always see what's going on. If it's domestic, if it's international, I watch cricket. I like, because it's my passion. It's what I've been doing my whole life. It's the reason why I play cricket, is because I love the game. Yeah. So for me to go into commentary and talk about this game that I love, and talk about what's going on a cricket field, or even to give insights, because
exactly. What really irritates me is that I find sometimes the commentators almost go from being cricketers into being commentators. Exactly, and they're telling me what I can see, and they're using cliches. I want to know what you've told us today. Exactly, what is going through the bowler's mind when he's bowling an over at the death to a guy in form? In other words, put us there. And until he started, I think he was a comedian. Jeff Boycott was the best at that. Yeah. Jeff Boycott put me there. Exactly. In the bowler's head, etc. Do you think there's a chance to give something extra there?
Well, I would love that. I mean, that's what I would like to do. I mean, I can't see anything better than actually sitting down and talking about cricket. Yeah. Especially if I've been there, especially if I've experienced what that person's been, what they should be feeling right now, or what you're seeing, what they're feeling. It's one thing to describe what you're seeing, but it's another thing to describe, like you said, to what maybe the person's thinking.
Well, let's hope somebody from SuperSport is. What about coaching? I mean, I look at we've got these young cricketers. I mean, Kagiso Rabada, Lungi Ngidi, etc. Bowlers there who are diamonds, and they've got to be treated well. Surely somebody with your experience could add that. I know Otis Gibson is there, obviously, etc. But they've got to be well managed, haven't they?
Absolutely. I mean, for me, look, as part of the coaching thing, I don't think I have the patience to be a coach. Yeah. Because it sounds terrible, especially with young kids. Because you get a lot of cricketers that go into personal coaching, and then they'll get kids to coach, and their parents will be paying them a pretty penny to be coaching their child. But we all know as sportsmen, you can see a child straight away whether they can play cricket or not. Yeah. The way they throw a ball, the way they bat, the way they run. You even can see it and you say, listen.
So you'd feel bad taking money when it's a lost cause.
I'm an honest person. I wouldn't be able to, I would have to tell the parents, say, listen, I can't coach your child because unfortunately he just doesn't, or she just doesn't have it. She doesn't have that natural ability, or he doesn't have a natural ability with a cricket ball. He doesn't have the natural throwing technique. It's sometimes, unfortunately, with cricket, some things can't be taught. Sure. To catch a cricket ball and to throw a cricket ball, they can't be taught. It's part of a natural thing, and I wouldn't be able to do that. So the coaching thing, I think that's probably the best gig you can get, is to be a coach in India, because you're basically just managing a team, and you've obviously got your insights and stuff. But that's probably the best thing. But for me, as coaching, maybe in the future, but I can't see myself wanting to do that. But for me, like I say, as a broadcaster, that's what I would want to do. But coming back to your looking after KG and Lungi, you have to. Those two are our future. I mean, you've got a youngster coming through now, Vian Mulder, who's also... Sure, yeah, St. Stilians, isn't he? He's a really, really good cricketer, and he's starting to pick up small little niggles with his back and his action and stuff like that. So we've got to look after these guys, because this is the next generation. It's horrible to say, because I thought I was the next generation. But I'm 31 now, so unfortunately you've got to start looking and going, these are the next guys. And, if I can help them at all by talking not just on cricket, but just in experience in life. Yeah. And I was quite lucky at the Lions. I had Neil McKenzie under the brain. I mean, I stuck to his under the brain like a barnacle, because I looked at a guy saying, what would I want out of my career? And there he was. Yeah. I'm not talking about if he played more games for South Africa or anything, but just as a career.
Here's a final question for you, and it's a tough one, and I want you to think about it. You've told us about the riches of the IPL. If you get, bid for and you're there, life-changing for you. And obviously you've invested well, you've got your feet on the ground, you have a very, very good support system with your family, etc. If you hadn't gone to the IPL, would your life be very different? Would you be less confident about where you're going?
Absolutely. I would still want to go into broadcasting because, like I say, it's my passion, and I'm quite good at talking rubbish, like I said. So
no,
I think
you're not talking rubbish. Yeah, but anyway.
I would be good at it.
Yeah.
But financially would definitely be, because unfortunately, where it's getting, it's a lot better. From where I started as a professional cricketer to where it is now, it's progressed so much in terms of what the guys are being paid.
Yeah.
There's the South African Cricketers Association, or people know them as SACA.
Yeah.
They are doing a wonderful job for the cricketers.
Good.
There are lots of bonuses. There are lots of incentives, like the MVP incentive. I mean, I think I can't remember what it is, but I'm guessing it's saying you get a bonus of 150,000 rand at the end of the season if you're the MVP of the year.
Right.
So there's incentives for that. There's fitness incentives. There's always financial gain. So it's gotten so much better. But unfortunately, you can say it, without the IPL, I mean, if you're playing international cricket, that's also different because you also.
But the vast majority of people are not IPL and not international cricket. What is your advice to a young cricketer who is just beginning to realize that unless he's lucky, he's not going to make it to those two?
Be very clever with saving. That's all I can say. Because, and that's, like I said to you off air earlier on, it's such a thing to go to a young cricketer who's just starting their career and saying you need to start preparing for after cricket. It's like a kick in the nuts, if I want to say that, because you're going, but I've just started my career, just leave me alone, let me play cricket, I'll be fine. But the reality is that a lot of guys have realized too late that they haven't saved for after cricket, and then they find themselves
saved or prepared or looked at getting a. I mean, see, I tell, because I've spoken to some of the franchise, and I always say, you've got these companies that sponsor you. How many times have you gone to a function and just yawned and stuck with your mates instead of making contacts, building networks? You're interested in motor cars, you've got a car sponsorship, and saying, look, guys, can I come and meet your customers? Can I do something like that? And who knows, you might actually start enjoying it, etc., and build up. Is that the sort of thing you're talking about?
Absolutely. I mean, we always talk about golf days when you get, but guys complain because all the franchises have golf days, and as cricketers, we love golf days because I reckon lots of them love golf more than they love cricket, like myself. Well, I love playing golf more. But you get put into a fall ball with three random guys, and you go, oh, why don't they just put the cricketers together, we'll be fine. But in that, you'll never know who you're going to meet. 5 hours without cell phones, getting to know people. Getting to know someone who's a corporate big shot, or, for me, one of my biggest one was sitting with a guy called Rob Fleming.
Yeah.
He was with Castle, but he's now with the Blue Label, I think, So I sat with him. Our game got ran down in Pakistan, and I didn't know Rob. I mean, I'd met him a few times, but I didn't really chat to him. And all of a sudden, I started chatting to him. He started talking to me, and we've become very, very close because all of a sudden, he realized how much I love cricket, and then I realized how much he loves cricket.
Yeah.
And it became like we would have the odd dinner together, whether it was with the team or alone. I mean, just after my test job, he had organized that myself and KG have dinner at Rob's house with Michael Holding.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, I mean, I spoke to my dad the other day. I said, I'm having coffee with Mikey. And my dad was like, who's Mikey? I said, no, sorry, Michael Holding. And I actually had to step back and say, I would never, ever have met this legend of the game if it wasn't for Rob. And a lot of guys don't see it. Like, I mean, our CSA Golf Day now recently, I mean, Aidan Markram played with the Castle Lager guys. And Aidan loves himself a Castle Light. And I said to him, well, there's your connection for future, because you could be an unbelievable brand ambassador for Castle Lager. I'm not saying you must go promote drinking or whatever, but I mean, it's
promote responsible drinking.
Exactly. I mean, and it's these small things, and it's people don't, especially the young cricketers, they don't look at it like that. They just go, I'll be playing on a golf day, get a free shirt, and I've got to spend some time with these cats. Whereas at the end of the day, you're making connections that are going to last a lifetime.
Do you mentor anyone? Do you mentor? Is there any mentoring done in cricket?
I don't. There is mentoring done. I mean, a lot of guys, like I say, for me, Zander was my mentor. I always spoke about mentors.
So unofficial.
In different phases of your life, you have mentors. When I was younger, my dad was. And then when I went to Pretoria Boys, Mona van Zyl, my first team coach, he was my mentor. Then I moved on to club cricket, where Greg Smith, former Titans player, my mentor. Then I went to Gordon Parsons, who I now chat to. And then obviously moving on now, I've got, when I was playing, was Zander de Bruin. Because I went to them for everything. I didn't just go to them for cricket advice. I'd say,
Yeah.
Zander, I need to buy.
Well, I hope some young fast bowlers or all-rounders come to you, because you've given us a fantastic insight. Listen, Chris, thank you very much for coming in. You've opened our eyes to cricket. Your love comes through, and I hope somebody from Supersport is listening.
Thanks, Robbie. I really appreciate it.
What a fascinating insight into the world of cricket with Chris Morris. Thanks as always to Slow in the City for hosting us. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app, and follow us on social media at TSE Advisory. See you next time. Cheers from John Robbie.